This is Melissa O'Rourke. I'm an attorney and farm and agribusiness management specialist with ISU Extension and Outreach. I'm going to spend a few minutes today talking about worker misclassification on the farm. The question of worker misclassification is in regard to whether the employer, the farmer, is classifying someone as an employee or as an independent contractor. If an individual working on the farm is an employee, the employer then needs to withhold income taxes, pay Social Security and Medicare taxes, and unemployment taxes on any wages paid to that employee. Some of those are federal tax items. There may also be, depending on the state jurisdiction, state tax items as well. If a worker on the farm is classified as an independent contractor, generally these would be people that we would think of as independent business people. One common example is someone who has a dairy hoof trimming business that travels from dairy to dairy. In swine operations, we see people that have power washing businesses that travel to different swine operations and clean the hog barns. Those would be typical examples of independent contractors. However, sometimes we have farm businesses and farm employers who are classifying people as independent contractors when they really are employees. There's quite a bit of increased scrutiny going on from government agencies. The U.S. Department of Labor has estimated that up to 30% of employers misclassify their employees. This, of course, reduces the amount of tax revenue to government agencies, which could be both federal and state government agencies. So the U.S. Department of Labor has been hiring additional investigators to review suspected cases of misclassification. As is understandable, the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, is also interested in this issue. So what factors should be considered when thinking about is an individual working on the farm an employee or an independent contractor? The first factor might be, what is the degree of control and independence that worker has? For example, as far as their behavior, is there a supervisor that controls or has a right to control what the worker does and how they do their work on the job? Financially, the question is, are there business aspects of the worker's job that are controlled by the payer, which would be the farm? The question is, how is the worker paid? Are the worker's expenses reimbursed? Who provides the tools or supplies needed by the worker to get the tasks done? Another question related to this financial aspect is how much of that worker's entire household or work income comes from one particular farm operation, or does it come from multiple farm operations? When thinking about that, think again about the example of a dairy hoof trimming business, where a worker with an independent business travels from farm to farm and works for many different dairies, as opposed to someone who may do hoof trimming on only one dairy. What is the economic reality of that person's work and their financial arrangements? And then finally, think about the relationship. Does that person on the farm who's doing the work have a written contract, an employee type benefits such as a pension plan, insurance, vacation pay? Does the relationship continue, or can either party change it at any time at all? And is the work performed a key aspect of the business? As mentioned, the IRS is very interested in this, and if a person is looking for assistance in determining whether a worker is an employee or an independent contractor, it's easy to go to the IRS website and look at their form SS8, and that will go through a number of different factors to help determine whether that person is an employee or an independent contractor. It's probably understandable that the IRS leans toward classifying people doing work for a business, including your farm, as an employee. Also be aware that there is additional assistance available on this question from the U.S. Department of Labor on its website, where a fact sheet can be found entitled, "Am I an Employee under the Fair Labor Standards Act?" And that particular publication, it's just a nice short publication that goes through the factors being discussed here and helps to make that determination. It also talks about what was earlier mentioned called the economic realities factor and how much income is an individual getting from one farm or multiple farms. Very basically, to think about whether someone on the farm is an employee or an independent contractor, there are several key questions to ask. First, ask, do you control the performance of the work that's being done on the farm? Secondly, do you decide the hours of work, or does the individual decide when they want to complete those tasks that need to be done? Can you, the farm business owner, give a promotion or a raise to the worker? And are the services being performed by the individual considered a core part of the business of the farm? The fourth question would be, are the services performed considered a part of the core business of the farm? On a dairy operation, the core business is milking the dairy cows. Most of the people milking the cows probably are employees as opposed to independent contractors. If any of the answers to those questions is yes, it's likely to consider that those people probably are employees. Be very careful about classifying them as independent contractors because if there is misclassification, there can be a great deal of penalties and back taxes that may be due. We recommend that you check with your tax professionals, human resource professionals, and legal professionals to get advice on this question. Of course, always feel free to contact ISU Extension with your farm management questions. Thank you.